Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and WotC let it slip on their unbearable 1 hour live stream of dead-eyed I don't want to be here staff members that on May 29th we're going to see a ban announcement, and everybody seems to be in agreement this is going to be a big one. Much later in the video they had said something to the effect of like, this ban is going to allow people to actually want to buy and play with anything from the new Eldraine set that's coming out. Paraphrased, of course, but that's what they meant. So the question on everybody's mind is, what are they going to ban? And people are throwing stuff out there, and they've got a point. It's more haha, memeing on it, emotional, I want this banned, or maybe this because I saw it once, I don't know. Oh, I did a deep analysis, and I've been playing MTG Arena like every day still, because I got to keep reporting on this in the meta and keep my coins up and never pay them $1. So I have got a breakdown of what I think is going to go. Or at least some options, and then I'll review if I think it's really going to happen. So there's two that everybody's talking about. This is the first one, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It's just too good. This is in 3 different decks that I'm aware of, all tier 1, all highly competitive, all at least like 10% of the meta. But the worst offender is Red Wins. And then you've got the +1 damage Ren enchantment behind it, which people don't tend to play in the primary deck lists of this. But this thing, just the cloning. The 2/2, the treasure, which gives red ramp, so that they can just win on turn 5 consistently. And yeah, my double strike deck wins quicker than that. My double strike deck is going to be a catastrophe. Now I get to keep that for another year. They really messed up. I'll just quickly say right now, if they ban every single card I'm going to feature in this video, which they're never going to do, there is some tier 1.5 stuff and some like little side decks that are so toxic, and I built most of them. But I'm aware of others. There's a new one I saw yesterday that just blew me away from mostly Aftermath cards. So they ain't gonna fix crap if they banned every single card I mentioned in the start video. It still ain't gonna fix anything. It's a step in the right direction, but standard isn't gonna be playable. It's just not. It's that simple. So yeah, the cloning, where he could just sit there and clone ETB stuff late game on a Resurrector deck, terrible. And then Red Rush, terrible. You can't give Red Rush treasures. You can't do it. Now, in the same deck, let's move on to Kumano Faces Kakzan, or whatever. Kakarot, I don't know. I mean, 1 damage on turn 1, and then a +1/+1, so 1 more damage on whatever haster came out or whatever, and then you transform it. That's just a little bit too much value for 1. If this costs 2, nobody would care. I keep looking at this, and I'm like, this is just not a good card. And then I do the math, and I'm like, yeah, that is enough to just put it over. It's just a little bit too far. So one of the 2 of those is getting banned, and I would say Fable. But as far as mono red, oh, Kumano, come on. Fable is a 3 cost. It's almost more red mid-range. So let's jump to Portal, because that's the problem with the Resurrector deck. And that's where Fable is, where they'll resurrect something, and then as a backup, and there is a solely ramp card that doesn't use Resurrectors, or ramp deck, I should say, that also gets out this, plus like the 8 cost artifact and some other cards I'm not going to get into. And they're all 3+ colors, and they all sit there and clone stuff. And you can't have freaky jeekies sitting there cloning crap, okay? It's just too much. So when I look to that, okay, that's affecting 1 deck and Red Rush, but it's not the key to both. It just takes them a little bit too far. But the natural ramp, what are you going to do about that? So I'm on the fence between will they ban Kumano or Fable. But yeah, this 9 cost, they just throw it in the graveyard, resurrect it for 5, and you're dead. There's nothing you can do. People will bounce this back to hand or phase it out, or I have literally blown up 3 of these, and somehow they got a 4th one. Either back out of the graveyard or top deck, or toss another one in the graveyard somehow to sit there looping it. They're running Lily to toss it in the graveyard. It's just awful. This card has to go. I can almost guarantee they're going to ban this. It's just that simple. So if you haven't read it, when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard, yours or theirs, onto the battlefield under your control. So there's an ETB, and there's something you have to stop while also blowing this up. You can't blow up an artifact and whatever 2 creatures they just rezzed with this thing or whatever every single turn. And if you do, they'll just save it and bring it back. Or they'll just mill another one. The deck has control, okay? It's not a steamroller. I hate this card. They're going to ban it. It's that simple. Or do you ban Repair and Recharge? Return target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then create a Power Stone. That's version 1, and I guess I'll throw V2 up. Same cost, but quad white, so you ain't playing no 4 color with this. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield, then distribute 4/1/1 counters among any number of creatures, vehicles, player controls. Clearly a better card, but it's so much narrower, but it's just not stopping people from running this in a 2-color deck. This is not a mono white card, and that's what they were going for. They could have made it 5 white, and people would find a way to do it. I mean, the mana pools and the fixing are pretty good right now, and they're only going to get better with 3 years worth of cards instead of 2. Cannot stress that enough. So they'd almost have to ban both of these. The deck would be just fine and modified and still high powered. They just add in some control, add some board wipe, stall a little longer, and then have a natural ramp back end. Because like I said, there are decks that bring out all this overpowered crap and clone it and save it, and they're just the Swiss Army do it all, and they go, it's instead of like these two in white, they just have control and wait to natural draw them. And then they got some blue scry too to like get there, you know? But they're dumping out treasures, lands. They got that little Bushosaurus Rex, which I could see him banning that too, maybe. I don't know his real name, but you know damn well what card I'm talking about. I don't see them banning both of these. What would there be to resurrect if portals left? And the answer is still some pretty good stuff, but boy, without the portal, you better hope I'm doing nothing. You better hope you blew up everything I have on my board. So I think that would bring the deck down to a little bit less competitive but still playable, and that's what they always target. So I'm going to say these two they're going to leave in, and portal they're going to get rid of. So let's talk about the biggest mistake they made lately in the color black, Invoke Despair. Now black can get rid of enchantments. Never used to be able to do that in the last 30 years of the game with like maybe one exception. And you know what? White has an outright blatant counterspell, okay? It was from an alternate history, alternate universe, timeline, whatever, who cares? It's in the game and it shouldn't be. Mana Tide, look it up. But they thought, oh, well, it's quad black. People will only play it mono black and that limits it. No, black can do everything now. I can't do crap against black and it's pissing me off. It's pissing everybody off. Everybody's on the same page that they want this stupid card gone. Target opponent sacks a creature. If they can't, they lose 2 life. Then you draw a card. Way too much. Then repeat this process for an enchantment and planeswalker. They can get 3 cards, 6 life damage, or basically wipe your board effectively because they made you discard all your crap. 100% this card is going to be banned, and 100% it needs to be banned. If they don't, they made a mistake. People are going to riot in the streets. Next up, Liliana. The other reason I can't play crap from my hand anymore, because this bitch stole it all. She also likes to throw Portal into the graveyard while also making sure that I can't do anything to stop you from doing it. This card, people wanted it banned from Modern years ago. I actually looked it up and thought it was. A recurring +1 discard for 3? Are you out of your damn mind? This used to be a $70 card. This has no place in the standard format. It's too powerful, and that -2 pisses me off. Screw this stupid card. I built my deck, I bought the cards so I can play my deck and play the cards. And if you bring her out, you're going to be damn lucky if I don't just forfeit on the spot, or if it's paper, punch you in the face. I cannot stand this. I cannot stand the people who play it, but it gets worse from here. Sheoldred! In the attrition, stall, and blow everything up deck. Yay! So 4/5 for 4 Death Touch. That's already annoying because 5 is out of the reach of anything killing it within reason. And then whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. So they just throw her out there and just let her sit there. And then they just, rip more cards out of your hand and blow stuff up and invoke on top of it. And you just can't get rid of her. And if you do, they'll just bring her back. Trying to fight Sheoldred plus Liliana at the same time, it's impossible. And as soon as you think you got out ahead a little bit, maybe you got some card advantage, here comes Invoke. Undoing your white exile. So one of the 3 of these needs to be banned. I shouldn't even have to say that sentence. It's so obvious. I want all 3 of them banned. I think it's going to be Lily and Invoke, and I think they're going to leave Sheoldred. Because the deck falls apart without Sheoldred, but this card is just an atrocity. So let's just throw a simple one out there. Nobody's talking about this, and I don't know why. I don't know if they even play Standard if they're not talking about this. Reckoner Bankbuster. It's just free cards. It's colorless free cards for 2. This is so much worse than that stupid copter from Kaladesh. The looter copter, whatever, or no, that other one that refills your hand. I'm getting them all mixed up. There was so much bannable crap back then, and the only difference from back then to now is they would actually ban it. They at least tried to salvage Standard back then. I believe this is in, don't quote me on this, 6 different Tier 1 decks. Drastically different, not MTG Goldfish different. Where they're like, they added 1 blue card. It's now a different deck. Different color identity, different deck, better name it something different. Goldfish has done more to damage the Standard format in the game than WotC ever has. I hate them. WotC even threatened them with legal action at one point. Go look it up. So yeah, colorless free cards for 2. This is in every deck. Get rid of it. It's that simple. It's too much card draw. It just lets too many decks do too many things. I guess the only reason WotC wouldn't ban this is if they forgot that it existed. That's 1. And then 2, if they're like, yeah, but everybody has access to it. No, power down all the decks. You better work on powering down some crap because you're about to have 3 years worth of cards to choose from. That's going to put the power level up. And the last thing I need is a stupid control deck now outdrawing me, so it's even harder to beat it. I want to play my damn cards. Stop stealing them from my hand. Stop countering or blowing up every single thing I do every other turn. It's not hard, Watsy. This is why people leave the game, because you won't let them play their damn deck. So next up, Atali Primal Conqueror. I just threw it in because it's obnoxious as hell, but if you don't free cast it, it's not that bad. But when it enters the battlefield, it's a 7/7 Trampler, first of all, but when it enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of the library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among the non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Each player, any number. Then it transforms. I'm not even going to show you the backside because it's relevant. I'll give you a hint. 11/11 Trample Indestructible. Oh, and it deals damage in damage and poison counters. So you get 11 poison counters. If this is in one deck in the entire world, that's one too many. So people, yeah, they're looping the resurrecting. They're bringing this back. They're bringing this back with Portal. Okay. But like I said, people who run the natural ramp deck that don't resurrect stuff from the graveyard, they just get to 6, 7, 8, and 9. Oh, this card's in there. And I'm sick of playing against that crap. This card is just stupidly overpowered. Completely, stupidly overpowered. And they sit there and clone it with Kikijiki, if I recall. It's legendary, but it doesn't matter. You get the ETB and then you just, legendary rule, kill it. Or they flip it and have two. That's even more fun. So I thought I'd bring it up. Next up, we got Breach of the Multiverse. This kind of is in other decks, but like, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen this plus Portal. I'm sure I have. It's just kind of like, crap that costs 7 and up that I'm not really paying for deck. Although, I've also seen this more commonly in the natural ramp deck where you just get to 7. So, everybody's playing this. Is some new hit thing. It's way high in the meta right now. Came out of nowhere, and it's a 7 cost, black sorcery. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature planeswalker card in their graveyard, put them onto the battlefield under your control. So, one of theirs, one of yours. In comes Atali. In comes, anything. In comes Liliana that you just killed, and now you gotta start all over trying to kill her when they drop her in and get rid of the rest of your hand. You can't win the game after they play one of these. It's impossible. It's that simple. Absolute bullshit card, and they need to get rid of it immediately. Next up, they're gonna have to do something about white or white plus, white, black, white, red, white, green, mono, green, even anything, any kind of infect crap. But this is not infect, it's toxic. Shut up, it's infect. Infect is not a mechanic. It's a derogatory slur that we use to refer to one of the worst decks in all of Modern. One of the most hated decks in the entire history of the game, actually. I've heard more people complain about Infect than Mill. And people hate Mill. So yeah, at the beginning of your turn, get like unlimited Phyrexian Mites. And then eventually they get, I guess this card doesn't grant it, but another card gives them like lifelink so you can offset the one loss. I guess they thought the one life loss, like, oh, but you're playing with fire. It's mono white. If you want a penalty for something good happening where you need to offset it with, yeah, but it might blow up in your face, that would be 2 life and in the color black. I've had mono black decks where I do more damage to me than they do to me, and I've had that come around to bite me because all the best cards had life penalties tied to them. That's where you're playing with fire. This, 1 life is nothing. You're probably already at 28. So just the recurring nature of it and the fact that it's an enchantment and the fact that it's not legendary, I would say target this. But they'd have to be going like, okay, we're cutting off the head of the tier 1 meta. Let's go to 1.5 and take an action ahead of time against it when nobody's still playing this. I don't know if they're willing to do that. But if they want to get rid of this infect archetype, which they really should, because otherwise we have to wait an entire another year for them to ban something, well then I would pull the trigger on something like this. Either that or the white Phyrexian remover. And that's kind of even a separate issue because that by itself doesn't have infect. In fact, that's usually in the incubate deck. But it is horrifically annoying, but they need to do something to water down this crap, and the other one would be the 1 cost green infect guy. And honestly, I'd get rid of both of these. I really would. And finally, Satan himself, Haughty Jin. If you play this card, no offense at all, but I hope you go to Denny's for, I think it's National Pancake Day, start choking on a pancake, get up, panic, accidentally trip over a bench, fall through/out the window, stagger into the highway, and get hit by a Budweiser truck. Okay, no offense. You are a disgusting human being, And every single person who you play this against probably quits the game on the spot and never comes back. Okay, look what you're doing. And on Arena, okay, a bunch of anonymous assholes not taking, yeah, screw them too. I'm playing Candy Cane, okay? I ain't no saint. That deck is quite literally unbeatable. I went on turn 3 with it. It's an actual war crime. I'm gonna have to flee the country if they start coming after me for it. But this is exclusively played by people with Teferi as their profile picture, okay? And that's the universal troll sign for I'm an asshole and I'm playing toxic shit. I don't need to tell you the rest of the deck. I don't need to tell you that WotC needs to ban this trash. Universally, remember their words were, we want to make a ban announcement keeping in mind that we want people to actually be able to play the cards from Eldraine. This deck should be banned by their own standards because it doesn't let you play shit. It doesn't let you play anything in your deck at all. It is him, the Leviathan, maybe some draw stuff if they've got to go fishing in an hour or something and don't want the game to go too long. Otherwise, all bounce, board wipe, and control, counterspell, everything. That's the entire rest of the deck. Anytime it's a mono blue counterspell deck and they're getting away with it and it's tier 1 and they're winning with it, you need to cut the head off it, and this is the head. This is the reason this card was a big mistake, and it's time to correct it. If they don't ban this Lily, Invoke, and Fable, people are just going to say that's the last straw, we're not playing the game anymore. Those are the top cards right there. Now, like I said, if they ban every single card I just mentioned, it doesn't matter because my double strike deck is still unbeatable. My double strike deck has a higher win chance and higher win rate, provably with my own numbers, than mono red right now. It's faster, it's more effective, it's more direct, it's trickier, people slip up, and it's less of the meta so they don't see it coming. If you just want a free win generator, go look up the deck list. It's on the playlist called Decks. It's probably the most recent video. Then we'll teach WotC a lesson about printing overpowered crap, too much boost, too much double strike, too much of everything, while also adding another year worth of cards. An extra 50% to the card pool. They think that's a good idea. And they think I won't continue to build crap like that and tell people about it. Wrong. So thanks for watching. Leave your best guess down below. I'm sure I missed some things. I didn't do like an extensive research. I'm going to look at like the top 10 and I'm like, yeah, that's some annoying crap. Yeah, I've played up against that. Yeah, I can confirm. But I will say, White-Green Infect, still in the top, still in tier 1. 1.5% of the meta, and if they ban everything above it, it will be 50% of the meta. So they do need to kind of chop it down multiple stages at the same time because like I said, and like they said, they only have one shot at it. Because they refuse to ban anything more than once per year. So this better be the most aggressive, extensive ban ever. They could throw the Wanderer in there for all I care. I'm sick of getting my crap exiled. Throw any of the white planeswalkers. Mono white planeswalker, Super Friends, Hyper Defense, Board Wipe is an archetype right now. And some of the horror stories I've seen personally and played against in the Diamond League from the launch of Aftermath. Oh boy. And you know the ban decision was already finalized before any of that stuff came out. So they are completely unaware of anything being played right now. They got a week to throw something in, but I don't think they would. I mean, they are kind of knee-jerk like that, but I'm sure they're like, this is the last shot we have until a year from now, and there's millions of dollars on the line. Maybe we should go a little further. I'm hoping that's in the back of their minds right now. Just like, ban Atraxa. I don't care. Go for it. They could ban Rafine. I don't care. Screw that guy. There's like 50 more cards I would be like, I don't miss them. These cards are toxic. They're awful. But, like, I'm just tired of seeing them as what it is, you know? It's not like, yes, mathematically, and if you do this and that metric, you need to get... No, I'm just sick of the stupid f***ing cards. But they almost never ban that way. I say almost never because they have in the past. They have banned stuff just for being annoying and unfun. So we'll see. We'll see if my prediction comes to pass here. I'll see you guys next time.